5 seconds to the open. Ready?
Who wants to get this thing started right about now?
Welcome to Follow the Money Weekly with your host, Jerry Robinson.
Welcome.
Not just some guru.
Oh, really?
Your host is an economist and a best-selling author.
What an interesting news item. I'd better write that down.
And just someone who likes to make money and help you to make money. Welcome to Follow the Money Weekly. And here he is, Jerry Robinson.
Friends, welcome to you all around the world. Welcome to episode number 470 of the Follow the Money podcast. My name is Jerry Robinson. It's great to have you here today. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest fears facing retirees, and that is outliving your savings. Think about that for a minute. You've worked hard your entire life. You've saved diligently, but then the thought of your nest egg running out before you do, that can keep you up at night. But don't worry, today we're going to tackle this topic head on in today's episode, which we have entitled Smart Retirement Income Strategies. You see, the retirement landscape today has changed. It's no longer enough to just put money in a savings account or rely upon the company pension like our parents or our grandparents did. These days, we are living longer, healthcare costs are on the rise, and the cost of living, well, it's climbing too, as evidenced by the spike in inflationary pressures here in the United States. Let me talk about some of these numbers. According to the CDC, the average life expectancy in the United States is around 77 years old. But for those of us who make it to the age of 65, there's a pretty good chance we're going to live another 20 years or more. Some of us will even hit our 90s. That's 30 years of retirement to fund for many people. And what complicates that is the fact that many retirees feel unprepared. Many studies show that close to half of retirees believe that they haven't saved enough for a comfortable retirement. That's half. And on top of that, the average retiree is vastly underestimating how long they're going to live and, quite frankly, how much income they're going to need during those years. So what is the goal here? How can retirees become more comfortable as they look forward to retirement? Well, it's simple, but it's not always easy, right? And the answer from my perspective, is to set up stable income streams to ensure financial security throughout retirement. It's something we've been teaching here at followthemoney.com for so many years, the importance of multiple streams of income. You see, you don't want to rely upon market whims or hope that inflation is not going to eat into your savings. Instead, the key is to diversify your income sources and ensure predictable cash flow for as long as you live, if you can, right? That's the whole goal. And so in today's episode, we're going to be diving into some smart strategies to make sure that you never run out of money. We're going to explore everything from Social Security maximization to income-producing investments and many other things as well. So stick around, because by the end of this episode, I believe you're going to walk away with a better game plan that will help you sleep better at night, knowing that your financial future can be secure if you take action now. All right, friends, so let's dive into the foundation of nearly every retirement plan for every U.S. citizen, and that is Social Security. Now, Social Security is often the largest and most reliable income stream for retirees, but the big question is, are you maximizing your benefits? So today, what I want to do is I want to share some unique strategies that you might not know about and walk you through when and how to claim Social Security to get the biggest bang for your buck. So let's start off by talking about maximizing those Social Security benefits. Now, for those of you who are many years away from Social Security, you can still glean from this topic, even if you're not right there at the cusp of getting ready to take Social Security. In fact, in many ways, some of these strategies you can begin implementing now or thinking about now so you can strategize properly. Now, the most important decision that you're going to make when it comes to claiming Social Security benefits is when to claim them. Did you know that your benefit amount increases by about 8% each year you delay claiming after your full retirement age? That's right, 8% guaranteed growth, which is something that you just simply can't find anywhere else these days. But here's a pro tip that you may not know. If you've already claimed Social Security early, but you regret it, you can reset your benefits once in your lifetime. It's called a withdrawal of application, and it allows you to pay back everything you've received within 12 months of your original claim, and then you can reapply later to maximize your benefits. So it's like getting a do-over. And it's an incredibly valuable option for people who realize they may have jumped the gun on taking their Social Security benefits. Now let's break down the pros and cons of delaying your benefits versus claiming them early. So if you claim at age 62, which is the earliest possible age, then you're going to lock in a lower benefit. We're talking about a reduction of about 30% from what you would have received had you waited until your full retirement age. But for some, that's okay. If you need the income now, it can make sense to start early. But here's the catch. If you can hold off until age 70, your benefit will increase significantly. Again, every year that you delay past full retirement age, which is typically around 66 or 67, depending on what year you were born, then you're looking at that 8% annual increase in your benefit. So by the time you reach 70, your monthly check could be more than 30% higher than if you claimed at full retirement age. Now, that's a big deal if you expect to live into your 80s or 90s especially. But this is obviously a very important discussion, and you need to weigh that decision very carefully. If you have health issues or maybe you have a shorter life expectancy, then claiming early might be the right move. It's about what's best for your situation, and no one's situation is the same. So there's really no cut and dry, one-size-fits-all kind of approach to when to claim Social Security. Each of us have a different situation. So obviously that's something that you can do. But if you can stretch that out, that's going to boost your overall income in retirement, and that can really be a great thing. Now, if you happen to have other income streams, then you have the luxury of being able to delay Social Security. Not everybody wants to do that. But if you want to do that, that can be a really big deal. So obviously, if Social Security is going to be your primary income stream, well, you may not have that luxury. All right, let's also talk about spousal benefits. If you're married, or even if you're divorced but were married for at least 10 years, then you need to know about this. A spouse is entitled to claim up to 50% of their partner's Social Security benefit. Now, here's the trick. You don't have to wait for your partner to start collecting for you to get spousal benefits. You can claim them once your spouse reaches full retirement age, even if they haven't started collecting Social Security payments themselves. That's pretty big. And here's where it gets even better. If you're widowed, you can switch to survivor benefits, which are based on 100% of your spouse's benefit. Now, that can be a lifeline if your spouse had a higher benefit than you did. And here's a pro tip for married couples. The higher earning spouse should try to delay their benefits until the age of 70 if possible. And the reason is because that higher benefit will become the survivor benefit for the spouse who lives longer. It's a smart way to maximize income over both lifetimes of you and your spouse. So there you have some tips on how to maximize your Social Security benefits. This is money that you've earned, so make sure that you're squeezing every single dollar out of it. All right, so let's move on for the sake of time. We have a lot of topics to cover in today's episode, and Social Security is obviously a very important one, but it's just the first one we want to talk about. By the way, we have much more on our website, especially for our members on followthemoney.com on all of these topics. We have information all about Social Security and many of the topics we'll be talking about today. Okay, so let's move into the second idea here when it comes to smart retirement income strategies, and that is annuities. Annuities, which can provide a guaranteed income for life no matter how long you live. Now, I personally became life insurance licensed back in 2008. So it's been many years since I got my life insurance license. And over the years, I have made recommendations for various things, including annuities. However, I have to tell you that I am not a big fan of all annuities. I think there are some annuities out there that, quite frankly, just aren't that great. And some companies, quite frankly, that just aren't that great. So one of my favorite tools for retirement, though, when it comes to annuities is the fixed indexed annuity. And I want to talk a little bit about that in this segment. So when it comes to securing guaranteed lifetime income, annuities are pretty much one of the very best tools out there. Unlike some financial tools, annuities provide something that you just can't get in too many places, and that's certainty. In other words, you're locking in a stream of income that you cannot outlive, and that is key for so many people who are worried about making their money last as long as they do. Now, there are different types of annuities. Let's break down the most common ones to help you see how they fit into each retirement strategy. First up, we have immediate annuities. These are straightforward, very simple. You hand over a lump sum to an insurance company, and in return, they start paying you an income right away. And the beauty here is simplicity and certainty. So if you're looking for immediate income from a pile of cash, this could be the right choice. It's often used by retirees who want a guaranteed paycheck starting now, and they don't want a bunch of cumbersome fees in their annuity. And then we have deferred annuities, and these work a little differently. You invest your money now, but then the income doesn't start until a later date, often when you're further into retirement. This is very similar to Social Security, which is really, quite frankly, a deferred annuity. You put money in now, and later you draw out a lifetime income. The benefit here, of course, with deferred annuities is that your money has a chance to grow before you start drawing on it. So if you don't need income right away, then you can let your annuity build value for several years, which will help that accumulation value grow to where when you do begin to take an income stream, you'll have a larger amount. Now, let's focus on one of my personal favorites in the annuity space, and that is the fixed indexed annuity. They're also known as FIAs. Now, what makes a fixed index annuity unique? Well, they offer really the best of both worlds. With a fixed index annuity, you're not directly investing into the stock market, but your annuity is linked to a stock market index, like the S&P 500. This means that you can benefit from market gains, but here's the big kicker. You're protected from market losses. That's right, no downside risk. If the market has a bad year, your annuity doesn't lose value. Now, in a world where market volatility can wreak havoc on your retirement savings, that is a massive benefit, especially if you're risk averse and you don't really want to be exposed heavily to the stock market. Now, here's how it works basically. With a fixed index annuity, you lock in a portion of the market's growth while also having a guaranteed minimum return, even in years when the market underperforms. Many of the fixed index annuities that I've seen and that I've used actually come with a 0% floor. Sometimes they have slightly higher, but basically that means if the market is down in a given year, then you will receive a 0% interest rate or a 0% return. That's much better than a negative return, especially for your retirement savings. So unlike traditional investments, you're not really gambling with your retirement income. Instead, you're getting steady growth without taking on unnecessary risk. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds with these products is because they can be very complex, and you really need somebody who understands what they're doing with these types of products because, as I've mentioned, I've seen them sold improperly, and I think many people have heard about that. So annuities can be good, they can be bad. It all depends upon the person and how it's structured. But one of the most valuable things about annuities is that they provide longevity protection, right? The fear of outliving your money is real for many retirees, and annuities serve as a safety net. So with fixed index annuities in particular, you'll continue receiving income for the rest of your life, regardless of how long you live. You might live to 85, 95, maybe even beyond 100. It doesn't matter. Your income is not going to stop. This is why these fixed indexed annuities are so effective. They guarantee income without the stress of market fluctuations, and they make sure that you have money coming in no matter how long you live. It's like setting yourself up with your own personal pension. These are just a few of the reasons why I think fixed index annuities can be such a powerful tool for boosting retirement income. That is because they offer peace of mind and that you're still able to participate in market gains, but without the risk of losing your principal. That principal protection is really what it's all about. And as someone who's spent years in the financial markets, I can tell you reducing risk in retirement is absolutely critical. If you're the type of person who wants stability but still wants to see growth in your retirement funds, then a fixed index annuity might be a good fit for your portfolio. They provide the guaranteed lifetime income that we talked about earlier, and they offer a level of safety that traditional investments just can't guarantee. Now, I have a lot more to say about annuities, including the importance of participation rates and lifetime income riders and guaranteed income bonuses, and even laddering your annuities, and also the importance of considering the index caps and spreads. All of these are very important topics that we're going to get into much deeper in an upcoming teaching for our members here at Follow the Money. So if you're interested in this topic and you really want education here, then this is really what we're going to be focused on in the coming weeks. You'll want to be part of our membership. We're going to be doing a deep dive into some of these topics. Now, whether you're considering immediate annuities for that instant income or deferred annuities to let your savings grow, it would be wise for you not to swear off annuities, but to keep them on your radar for your balance of growth potential and downside protection, because they can play a key role in ensuring that your income is as secure as possible throughout retirement. All right, so enough about annuities. Let's continue on and explore the next strategy for developing smart retirement income, and that's dividend-paying stocks, which can provide an additional layer of income to your retirement years. So Obviously, Social Security and annuities serve as foundational income sources in retirement, but we can also talk about income-producing investments. And again, one of my favorite strategies would be dividend-paying stocks when it comes to retirement. When you think about income in retirement, it's not really just about safety. It's not just about guarantees, but it's also about growth and regular cash flow. And this is where dividend-paying stocks come in. They offer a powerful way to keep your portfolio growing while still receiving some steady income. Here's how it works. Dividend-paying stocks are basically companies that share their profits with shareholders in the form of regular payments known as dividends. Whether the market is up or down, these companies often continue paying dividends, which makes them a reliable source of passive income. It's like getting paid for just owning a stock. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Jerry, what if the market crashes? Well, that's a great question, and we'll get into some of the risks in a moment. But first, let me share some of the high-quality dividend investments that I personally like. Let's start with REITs, or real estate investment trusts. These are companies that invest in income-generating real estate, whether it's office buildings or apartments or even shopping malls. And REITs are legally required to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders, which means that they tend to offer higher than average dividends. If you like the idea of investing in real estate, but don't want the hassle of being a landlord, then REITs can provide solid income and diversification. So I like REITs, but I also like dividend aristocrats. What are these? Well, these are elite companies that have increased their dividend for at least 25 consecutive years. You want to think of companies like Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble. These companies have a history of rewarding shareholders, and that makes them great for retirees that are looking for stable income. Right now, there are 66 companies out of the thousands and thousands of companies here in the United States that publicly trade on the stock market. Only 66 of them are dividend aristocrats. And we track all 66 of those companies and we rank them for our members, both from a trend ranking and also from a fundamental ranking. All of that is available for our members through our Dividend Aristocrat leaderboard, which is available there on followthemoney.com. So I obviously like dividend aristocrats. I like REITs, which we also track and rank. And for those who prefer to keep things simple, I also like high-quality dividend growth ETFs. One of the ones that I own for the long term is SCHD. This is the Schwab Dividend Growth ETF. This ETF focuses upon dividend-paying companies with strong financials and a track record of consistent dividend growth. So with a fund that is focused upon dividend growth, then you're going to get a basket of top dividend stocks all in one investment, one ticker, which adds diversification to your portfolio. And diversification is obviously key when you're depending upon investments for income. Now, when it comes to dividend income, you got a choice. You can either reinvest those dividends and buy more shares of stock and compound your growth over time, which is a great idea, or you can choose to take the cash as income to live on. So if you don't need the income right now, well then reinvesting dividends, I think, is the smartest and most powerful way for you to grow your wealth with these types of investments. It's all about compounding growth here. The more shares you own, the more dividends you earn, which allows you to buy even more shares and so on. Over time, this can supercharge your portfolio and provide even more income when you're ready to start drawing on it in retirement. On the other hand, if you're already in retirement and you need the cash flow, then you can simply withdraw the dividends as income. You don't have to reinvest them. And this gives you regular payouts without having to sell off shares of your investment. So you can keep the same number of shares and just take the cash dividend as a form of income. It's a great way to live off of your investments while keeping your portfolio intact. However, unlike with annuities, there are no guarantees when it comes to dividend-paying stocks. You know, the stock market is volatile. And while many companies have strong track records of paying dividends, there's always the chance that a company could reduce or suspend its dividend during tough times. I've seen it many, many times over the years. I've seen the dividend aristocrat list be whittled down from a much larger list down to just now 66 companies that have consistently raised their dividend every year for 25 plus years. So the number of companies who have the ability to do this is a fairly small number. That's why you have to be very careful in selecting stocks for dividend growth over time. This, of course, explains why it's crucial to diversify. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to spread your investments out across different sectors and different types of dividend-paying stocks. That helps reduce the impact of any one company or industry having a bad year and affecting your retirement. It's also important to remember that while dividend-paying stocks can be a reliable source of income, they're still tied to the market, as I mentioned, which means there will be ups and there will be downs, right? So that's why I always recommend combining these types of investments with safer, more guaranteed income sources, like the annuities we talked about earlier. All right, for the sake of time, let's keep moving on and let's take a look now at the next idea for creating income in retirement, and that's bonds and fixed income investments. For years, bonds, especially long-term government bonds, were sold as the safe option. I've heard it time and time again, invest in bonds for stability. Well, let's be real here. 2022 changed everything. Bonds were supposed to be the rock-solid part of a retirement portfolio. But what happened? Long-term bonds plunged by more than 20% in a single year in 2022. Many retirees who thought they were playing it safe got blindsided by rising interest rates. And here's the kicker. Bonds, especially long-term ones, are incredibly sensitive to interest rate changes. As rates rise, which let's face it, they've been doing, bond prices fall. And that means you have been holding a bond for 10, 20, or 30 years. And that means if you're holding a bond for 10, 20, or 30 years, you could be staring at significant losses in the short term. Now, that is far from the safety net that many retirees are expecting. Now, there's a few ways to mitigate some of this risk, and that's through a bond laddering strategy. Now, I've talked about this before. You invest in bonds with staggered maturity dates, so as one matures, you can reinvest at higher rates if needed. But let's be clear, while laddering can help manage interest rate risk, it doesn't eliminate it. If you're hoping that bonds will always provide a smooth, predictable income stream, think again. You could still end up reinvesting at lower rates, and the income might not be enough to keep up with inflation or market conditions. Now, there's a few different types of bonds that you can invest in. There's obviously corporate bonds, there's government bonds. Government bonds, especially U.S. Treasuries, are often seen as the safest option because they're backed by the government and have a low default risk. But here's the thing. Safety doesn't mean growth, and Treasury yields have been stuck in the low single digits for years. And in this inflationary environment, those yields that have risen are still just barely cutting it, right? You're basically losing money in real terms after inflation. And then there's corporate bonds. Sure, they might offer higher yields, but they come with more risk. If the company that issued the bond runs into financial trouble, you could be looking at default, meaning you could lose your investment altogether. So while bonds are supposed to be safer than stocks, they come with their own set of headaches, and they're not the guaranteed income source that many people think that they are, especially in today's tough economic climate. Now, I personally prefer other types of assets over bonds. I do talk about bonds, and obviously we educate on them, but I think that if you're looking for a guaranteed income without the volatility that comes with bonds, then you're much better off with a fixed index annuity or even some other type of insurance product. With fixed index annuities, your money is protected from market downturns, and unlike bonds, which can lose value as interest rates rise, fixed index annuities provide upside potential without the downside risk. You get to participate in the growth of the market through an index, earning CD-like returns mostly. But if the market tanks, then your principal is safe. And that's what I call true protection. You can also structure strategies with index universal life insurance policies, which offer tax-deferred growth and a death benefit on top of the ability to build cash value. And you can access that cash value without worrying about market volatility or rising interest rates. And you can access that cash value tax-free. It's like, again, setting up a personal safety net for your retirement. Of course, if you're still set on bonds, then what I would consider is looking at bond ETFs. They offer a low-cost way to diversify across many bonds, but again, you're not escaping the risk there, right? ETFs are more liquid, so they're easier to buy and sell, but they're still tied to the same interest rate environment that's been hammering traditional bonds in recent years. So look, bonds aren't the safe haven that many people consider them to be, especially with today's interest rate risks. While bonds may have their place, they are far from a guarantee. So that wraps up my topic there on bonds. Let's move on to the next topic, and that's real estate. If you've been following me for a while, you already know that real estate is my personal favorite asset class. Whether it's rental properties, commercial real estate, land development, real estate has a unique ability to create passive income and build long-term wealth. But as with any investment, real estate is not without risk, and today we're going to explore both the pros and the cons briefly. Let's begin with rental properties. There's no doubt about it that investing in real estate for rental income can be very lucrative. You buy a property, you rent it out, you collect the monthly income. Sounds simple, right? But as many of you know, there's a lot more to it. Now, on the plus side, rental income provides steady, recurring cash flow, something that's incredibly valuable in retirement. You also benefit from property appreciation over time. That is, as real estate values rise, the equity in your property grows, providing you with long-term wealth. But here's the downside. Managing rental properties can be a lot of work. Whether it's dealing with tenant issues, maintenance problems, vacancies, owning real estate requires active involvement. And if you're not up for that, you could always hire a property manager, but that's going to cut into your profits. And then of course, there's the risk. What happens if the real estate market takes a downturn? While historically real estate tends to appreciate over the long run, there's always the risk of declining property values, particularly if you're invested heavily in one area or during a bubble. And let's not forget about the market-specific risks. A local economy can have problems or unexpected expenses can pile up fast in your case. Now, what about those who want exposure to real estate but don't want the headaches of managing physical properties? Well, for them, I always want to recommend the idea of real estate investment trust, or REITs, as we talked about earlier. Those REITs allow you to invest in real estate through the stock market. Essentially, you're buying shares in a company that owns, operates, or finances income-producing real estate like shopping malls or office buildings or apartment complexes. And the best part is that REITs, as I mentioned, are required to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income by law. And they have to pay that out in the form of dividends or distributions to shareholders. That means that you can generate passive income without ever having to deal with tenants or repairs. I personally like REITs as a way to diversify real estate exposure without needing large amounts of capital to buy physical properties. In fact, in recent times, it's become more popular to simply use REITs instead of trying to go out and buy real estate, as it becomes so difficult with the expense and the interest rates and all of this. And so therefore, because they're traded on a stock exchange, REITs can be very liquid and much more liquid, quite frankly, than physical real estate. And you can buy and sell them easily, just like stocks. But let me stress that REITs still carry risk. Just like any stock, their price can fluctuate based upon market conditions. So while you're not really dealing with property maintenance, you're still exposed to the market volatility. So for many investors, the diversification and steady income that REITs provide are well worth it, but it is certainly a personal decision that you'll need to make. Now, while we're talking about real estate, let's also talk about leveraging equity. That is one of the most powerful strategies for using real estate in retirement. You know, if you've been investing in real estate for a while, the chances are you've built up some substantial amount of equity in your properties. And that equity can be a very valuable resource for you in retirement, especially if you need to access cash without selling your assets. Now, there's a few ways to do this. The first thing you can always do is take out a home equity loan, or what they call a HELOC, home equity line of credit. This allows you to borrow against the equity in your house or your rental property, and it gives you access to liquid funds for whatever you need, whether it's covering living expenses or investing in new opportunities or paying for unexpected medical costs, or just fill in the blank. Another option is to do a cash out refinance, which basically replaces your existing mortgage with a new larger loan. Now, you pocket the difference between your current mortgage balance and the new loan amount as cash, but you still hold on to the property and its potential for appreciation. And then finally, for those of you who are in retirement, a reverse mortgage can be a useful tool to tap into your home's equity without needing to make monthly payments. You stay in your home, but you receive monthly payments based upon its value. Just be sure to weigh the costs and benefits carefully before going down that road. But nonetheless, a reverse mortgage may not be right for you, or it may be right. You really got to do your own research. So whether you're looking to generate passive income through rental properties, whether you want to invest in REITs for real estate exposure without the hassle of owning properties, or if you just want to tap into your property equity for liquidity, real estate can be a powerful wealth building tool. It's my favorite asset class, but as always, remember, real estate carries risks, and it's important to diversify and plan carefully. All right, so we've covered a lot of topics so far in today's broadcast, and now we're going to conclude with one final idea before we begin to wrap things up. And this particular idea focuses on a tool that is often overlooked in retirement planning, but offers some powerful benefits when it's properly structured. I'm talking about something I talked about earlier, indexed universal life insurance, or something known as IULs. I know when people hear life insurance, they tend to think purely of it as a death benefit. But with the IUL, you get so much more than that. It's a flexible financial tool that can provide tax-deferred growth, access to cash value, and a death benefit all rolled into one. So let's break down how this strategy would work. First off, one of the most attractive features in an IUL is its tax-deferred growth. That means that the money that is accumulated inside the policy, known as the cash value, grows without being taxed each year. Unlike traditional investment accounts, where you're taxed on capital gains or dividends annually, with an IUL, your money can grow tax-free until you withdraw it. What's more, An IUL is tied to a stock market index like the S&P 500. If the market performs well, your cash value grows. But if the market drops, your principal is protected. This makes an IUL a unique tool for building wealth over time, especially for retirees who want growth potential without the stress of market volatility. Now, here's where an IUL becomes particularly useful in retirement, and that is that you can access the cash value of your policy without paying taxes, either through withdrawals or by taking policy loans. Now, this is a game changer because it gives you a supplemental income stream during retirement without triggering taxes as long as you follow the rules. And since these loans are taken against the policy, they're not considered taxable income. So you're effectively borrowing from yourself using the cash value as collateral. And these loans don't require repayment during your lifetime as long as the policy is in good standing. The death benefit will cover the loan amount when you pass away if needed. So this means that you can use the cash value to fund retirement expenses, whether it's covering healthcare costs, funding travel, or simply enhancing your lifestyle in retirement. And because you're not selling off assets or liquidating investments, your other retirement savings can continue to grow. But let's not forget, at its core, an indexed universal life insurance policy is still a life insurance product, which means it provides a death benefit for your loved ones. And here's where the dual purpose comes in. Not only do you get access to the cash value while you're alive, but your beneficiaries will also receive a tax-free death benefit when you pass away. This means that an IUL can serve as a dual role in your retirement plan. It gives you flexibility while you're alive, and it ensures that you leave behind a legacy for your heirs. For those of you who are looking to provide for your spouse, children, or grandchildren, life insurance offers a financial safety net that's very difficult to beat. And I'm specifically talking about these cash value life insurance policies. Now, I want to stress that the IUL that I've been talking about today is one of the most flexible financial tools available when it's properly structured. I have seen these policies not properly structured, and they don't work out so well. That's why you must work with someone who fully understands how to properly structure one of these products. It really can play a key role in diversifying your retirement income streams, especially when you pair it with other tools like dividend-paying stocks or real estate or annuities. But here's the deal. It's not for everybody. IULs work best for those who have a long-term time horizon and want a product that grows tax-deferred, offers access to tax-free income, and provides a death benefit. And remember, the key to maximizing the benefits of an IUL is working with an experienced advisor to structure it properly. So if you're looking for a flexible, tax-efficient way to generate income in retirement while leaving behind a legacy, life insurance could be a great fit. Just remember, like any financial tool, it's vital to structure it properly and correctly and understand how it fits into your overall retirement strategy. Now, we've covered a lot today. We could continue to go on and talk about managing your withdrawal rates, talking about that 4% rule that's often mentioned. We can also talk about some of the different tools that you can use or types of strategies, especially things like Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks to get those powerful tax-free withdrawals in retirement. But for the sake of time, we'll save that for another episode. Right, we've covered a lot of ground today, from Social Security to annuities, dividend-paying stocks and bonds, life insurance like IULs. And now as we wrap up, it's time to talk about how you can pull these strategies together into your own comprehensive personalized retirement income plan. You should know that there's no single magic bullet when it comes to securing income in retirement. The real key is to blend strategies that work for your unique situation. Social Security, for example, gives you a solid foundation. Annuities offer guaranteed lifetime income. Dividend-paying stocks offer growth and cash flow. And bonds offer stability. They each have their own drawbacks. They each have their own benefits, right? And working them together and having each of these products potentially in your plan will work together in concert to provide you with many of the benefits. And having a variety of assets in your overall portfolio will also help you mitigate some of the downsides of each of the products as well. The goal, of course, is to create a diversified set of income streams that taps into many of these sources so that you're not overly dependent upon just one. That way you don't get to the age of retirement and you're completely dependent upon Social Security or just one or two income streams. That way, no matter what the market throws at you or how long you live, you've got those multiple streams of income working for you. Now, the most important part of this whole discussion is the fact that customization is absolutely vital for you. Your retirement income plan needs to be designed around you. It needs to be designed around your risk tolerance, your risk capacity, your lifestyle goals, your specific financial situation. Now, for some, that might mean focusing upon guaranteed income with annuities and bonds, while others might be more comfortable with the growth potential of dividends and stocks. The point is, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Maybe you're someone who's worried that you might outlive your savings. Well, then focusing more on guaranteed income sources might be your priority. Or if you're someone who's more focused upon legacy planning and charitable giving, and you want to pass wealth on to your heirs, tools like life insurance could be playing a major role in your plan. And if all of this sounds a bit overwhelming, don't worry, because you don't have to figure it all out on your own. In fact, the best thing that you can do is work with a trusted financial advisor who understands your personal goals and that can help you create a sustainable, diversified retirement income plan. And if today's conversation about index universal life insurance or fixed index annuities has piqued your interest, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our team can help you explore how these tools can fit into your overall strategy. You can contact us by email at info@followthemoney.com, or you can call us by phone at 1-800-609-5530 to get more information. We're here to help you navigate these decisions so that you can move forward with confidence into your financial future. Don't wait until it's too late. Start building your plan today. Whether it's Social Security, annuities, dividend stocks, life insurance, today is the day for action, and we have the tools and expertise to help you create a plan that ensures your money works as hard as you do.
Welcome back to Follow the Money Weekly. And here's Jerry Robinson.
All right, friends, welcome back to the final moments here of today's episode. We've been talking about smart retirement income strategies, making sure that you don't outlive your money. And as we wrap up today's show, I want to leave you with this thought that retirement is a journey. It's not a destination. You know, the decisions that you make today and the strategies that you put into place are what will shape the quality of your tomorrow. Now, we've talked about a lot of different tools today. We've talked about Social Security and dividend-paying stocks, and we've talked about annuities, and we've talked about life insurance and real estate. But at the end of the day, it's not about these particular tools. It's about how these tools can be coordinated to create a plan that works for you. And I encourage each and every one of you to take the next step, whether it's working with a financial advisor, whether it's getting more educated about certain topics, or even if it's just about talking with your family and starting to put these strategies into action. Your future self will thank you. And in the spirit of today's episode, I leave you with a final word. It's a quote by John D. Rockefeller, who once said, "Do not be afraid to give up the good to go for the great." As you craft your retirement income plan, don't settle for good enough. Aim for greatness. Plan wisely. Seize the day. Blend your strategies. And above all, remember that your financial future is really up to you. Make it count. And that's just something to think about. Thanks again for joining me on today's episode of the Follow the Money podcast. If you have any questions or you want to dive deeper into these topics, feel free to reach out to us by email or phone. You can go to followthemoney.com, get all the contact information right there. We would love to hear from you and answer any questions you might have. Until next time, my friends, remember, when you want the truth, just follow the money. Have a safe and prosperous week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Until then, God bless.
Information contained on the Follow the Money podcast is strictly for informational and educational purposes. It should not be construed as specific investment advice. The views and opinions of our guests and sponsors, including Tom Cloud, are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of FTMDaily.com or Robinson Media Group, LLC. Jerry Robinson does hold an insurance license and at times may offer consulting on life insurance and fixed retirement income products. Follow-up, individualized responses to email or phone requests that involve the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation will not be made absent compliance with state investment advisor registration requirements or an applicable exemption or exclusion and applicable insurance regulations. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You should be aware of the real risk of loss in following any strategy or investment discussed on the podcast. Remember, never do your financial planning through podcast or radio. It's your money. Be wise. Do your due diligence and always consult a trusted financial professional before making any